Hello, I'm Ursula and I'm from the HE department. I'm going to be running through how to use Turnitin through the VLE. We use Turnitin for a number of reasons. So we can track student submissions, it allows us to mark online, and by marking online it allows us to provide verbal feedback up to 3 minutes and also written feedback, and also it also prevents and detects plagiarism. So I'm going to show you how to do it through the VLE. So as you can see, I'm on the VLE page. I've gone into the BA Honours Business Administration course and I've turned the editing on. If I go to Personal and Professional Development, so you go to pick your module, and once you've chosen your module, if you go scroll down and put where it says add an activity or resource, if we go under Turnitin Assignment 2, add, and then it will create the assessment template for Turnitin. So you've got the assignment name, so I will just put assessment 1. I could put a summary if I wish to do so. The next bit is some submission type. So I would always allow any file upload. I wouldn't do the text submission because that would mean that students have got to copy and paste into a box like this, where if you put file upload, that means they could download from a pen drive or the cloud straight into Turnitin. So it's a lot easier for students. The good thing about this is that it allows you to submit a number of parts of the assessment. So just say you've got one whole assessment, but then you've got 5 tasks within that assessment. It does allow the students to submit them under different parts. I would always choose a maximum file size, just so that you don't run into any issues. In terms of anonymous marking, it should always be yes, especially for UCLAN provision. Because it is in their assessment regulations. However, there will be some modules that their assessments can't be analysed through anonymous marking. And if we move on here, allow submission of any type, file type, I would also press yes to that. Display originality reports to students. Students find this quite helpful, so whatever you see in terms of the originality reports, they will also see. Grade display is great if you're on a UCLAN course, because you're actually able to put in the grades of what they've scored out of 100. And here, I'd always click yes for this, so automatically the system will automatically refresh the originality scores. If you don't click yes and you use no, then you'll have to press a button to pull through all the originality scores. So I would always select yes on that. So we go into grades. There is more detailed information about grades, but you don't actually need that to submit to Turnitin. The next part is assignment part 1. So you put your start date in, the due date, and then the post date. The post date is the date that students are going to be able to access their feedback and their results. So they'll be able to log on anywhere, anytime, and just log in and see what results they've had. A lot of students find this really helpful. So if we move on to the originality report options, so the first box is allow submissions after the due date. So you can say yes, and it will still tell you that they're late, but just does mean that you don't have to set up another Turnitin assessment, so they could still submit to the same group. Or ultimately you could say no and then they can't submit at all, but you will eventually have to set up another group so they can submit the work. So you'd probably be better keeping it as yes. Report generation speed, so the three options under here. So generate reports immediately, students cannot resubmit, so that means that they can only submit once. Generate reports immediately, so this allows them to submit up to 3 times and then generate a report. This allows students to double check what they've done, to make amendments until the due date. And the last one is generate reports on due date. So again, it allows them to submit a number of times before the actual report will generate to ourselves as tutors. What I do suggest is that you speak as a department what you will be using as your approach. You will be better having a standardised approach across your team. Now the next one is store student papers. So I would always put it under standard, because what this does is it will check against past papers from your cohorts that you've had. So it could be last academic year, it could be 3 to 4 academic years, but it will check against the originality. As we move further down, you can check against the internet, which I would have thought we would all say yes to. Check against journals, periodicals and publications. You also have the option to exclude bibliographies or exclude quota material. Again, it needs to be a coordinated approach through the team deciding what they want to utilise. Then if we press save and return to course, then what we should find is that it saves it. And if we go back into the VLE area, we go back in, you can then see assessment 1 is there. So students have got an assessment that they need to submit today. They would just go under assessment 1. And you can see there the start date, the due date, the post date, and the marks available. So I've got anonymous marking enabled, and as soon as those submissions start coming through, they will all start coming in this area, so I can see exactly how many submissions I've had. And then once I've started marking, it will come up with, I can input in the grades, the similarity. Reports will also be in here as well, and also tell me when it was actually submitted. So the great thing about this is that students only need to be signed up on the VLE, whereas beforehand, where you had your own Turnitin account, you had to give them a class ID and an enrolment code. You don't need any of that. As long as they're signed up onto the area of the VLE, then they can submit. So it's very easy. It's very easy for you to go into other people's Turnitin accounts. If somebody's off sick, it's really easy because the work's just there and there's no issues. All tutors will be able to see it, all line managers will be able to see this. I will do another session on grade mark and how you can mark using Turnitin. So I will do another session like this in the near future. If you do have any queries, please do let me know. You can either drop me an email, u.hoyles@wigan-lee.ac.uk, or you can give me a phone call on 1517, or alternatively I'm based on the 3rd floor in the University Centre at Parsons Walk. Thank you.